welcome to DiscipleQuest. I'm the best shoutcaster ever. I am Christopher Disciple Allen, and I am here at the BYU LAN party. You can't see anyone behind me, but if you want to take a nice panoramic view of the party, here it is. There are actually quite a few people here. Right down here are going to be a lot of our players, and I feel like it is about maybe 60, 70 people here. It's a good number, and we're going to do some 5 versus 5, and so let's hop right into queue. Into champion select is where we're going to go. Over on our blue team, we have Kikastrophe, Loinker, Insith, a Rave Review, and Scarab. And on the red team, it will be Entropic Order, Sprognak, Darian Agarian, Valor Fox, and Al Capone. Nasus are going to be our very first ban, a powerful top lane champion. Entropic Order most likely going to be the top laner here for our red team. A very, very powerful player, usually dominating his lane with whoever he plays. He plays a lot of top lane Karma, as well as some other aggressive champions, Yasuo being one of his recent flavors of the month, which was just banned out against him, I'd have to imagine, is the target of that there. Brand banned out against... Banned out here, Sprognak is the only Brand player here I know, but they did send out that ban, so an interesting target there, but definitely a really strong mid laner. Not usually seen a lot competitively, except maybe with only Jacksonus. But the siege and the heavy burst damage that Brand can bring to a team is most certainly scary, and there's a Lee Sin ban, who is one of the most potent junglers. I feel like he just kind of resurged recently, pretty surprisingly. And I can't say that I know exactly why he is much more powerful, but his ability to just shape the early game, especially in the jungle, is just so powerful. We don't see him much in the top lane anymore, like we did at a little bit near the end of Season 3, but when he does come out of that lane with the Sonic Wave Resonating Strike, it can be so devastating. We have some loud members here, and hopefully you can still hear me over them. I wish I had a microphone here. I'll try and get a little bit closer to my own microphone. They are doing a Korea versus China match. Dr. Mundo been out in the top lane, a terrifying force in that top. Can have a bit of a weak early game, but eventually once he gets some of those tanky items and builds up, he can be unstoppable. And so we won't see that. And then there's Renekton, the king of the top lane for a long time. And so now we'll see our very first pick. Kikastrophe is here to lock in our first champion. We'll see what she does decide to choose. Potential Nami, however, Kikastrophe is the support here, so it would make sense that she does pick up her own champion. And a Leona is also really powerful, especially when matched up with a very bursty laner, such as Lucian, or I would almost say Graves, but we haven't really seen any Graves recently. Jinx could even count in there, just having a solid front line for Jinx to allow her to escape and move around. She's so strong, but that will be the Leona locked in there for Kikastrophe.
Yeah, let's just let it go for whatever you can get.
Alright, now we're looking at Entropic Order and Sprognak. That's the Vladimir hover over, which could be fearsome from Entropic Order. He's certainly dominated that in the past, and as opposed to my Vladimir, which just seems to endlessly die up in the top lane, he can build up so incredibly tanky while having a very aggressive AP route with Vladimir's passive that grants him 1.4 health for every point of ability power and 1 point of ability power for every 40 points of health. And there's Sprognak, the ADC here for our red team, locking in a Varus. The Varus-Vladimir combo definitely going to have a lot of AoE teamfight potential, the lockdown with the Chain of Corruption, as well as the amplification of the damage from the Hemo Plague can certainly destroy any team that groups together a little bit too closely. Loinker with the instant lock-in from the Jinx. One of the strongest AD carries in the current meta. Jat has claimed that she is a late game hyper carry on the, on the likes of Tristana, with the ability to deal excessive damage late game, have a lot of attack speed and range, and be able to have the resets when you kill a champion here in form of the Get Excited passive. Tristana, of course, in the rocket jump. Insith going to take an Udyr for the jungle, and that's not a pick we've seen very recently, but always has the ability to just continue to run in, tank up, build primarily as a tank. I expect to see Randuin's Omen out of him, as well as a Spirit of the Ancient Golem most likely, and then just be able to consistently disrupt the enemy team. And against someone without any escape like a Varus, it could be rather devastating. Darian Algarian hovering over the Akali. Is it going to be? And it is an Akali there for the mid lane on the red team, with Valier Fox taking Warwick to the jungle, where he was originally from, but Darian has made a recent resurgence of top lane Warwick, even instigating a ban in the recent EU LCS matches. Warwick can suffer a little bit later on in the game when he doesn't deal quite enough damage. However, earlier on when he grabs that Infinite Duress, it's such a high amount of lockdown, as well as a good amount of damage and mobility, that he can certainly change the game earlier in a similar way to Lee Sin. However, he can't really gank at all until level 6, which is definitely going to hurt him. It's nice that they have a pretty strong early team in the form of Varus and Akali that they can hopefully hold on until Warwick catches up to the rest of them. A rave review with the Swain and Scarab with the Morgana. Now we have to decide who's going mid and who's going top, and I feel like it could be Scarab's top Morgana against a Vladimir. And you know what? I would put the Swain up against the Vladimir because his damage can go through. His damage over time can go through Vlad's Pool of Blood, and he can sustain up just as well as Vladimir in combat. And Al Capone finally locking in the Zyra for support. A really solid team fighting combo coming out from 3 of the picks here on the red team, supported by some pretty strong single target damage from Akali and Warwick, but not a really solid tanky front line until Valier Fox can get a few more of those tanky items, maybe a Frozen Heart or a Spirit Visage. However, the blue team has a much more typical rounded team with some tanky champions, with some good long-range damage, but they don't have a lot of single-target assassination, so they will have to stick into a fight and keep it up for quite some time. We're now in our spectator lane. We can continue to analyze these to death. As we look at how these lanes are going to go, I expect them to go for our typical 2v2 lanes, and Varus really has a strong time in lane early on against Jinx, since he just has so much damage out of his spells early on with the Piercing Arrow, really having high AD scaling. If he goes for a Bloodthirster for his first item, he can really deal massive deeps to the enemy team. Dorian Algarian as well. Darian Algarian or Darlin. The letters are a little bit too small for my liking. Darlin Algaron will really have to get on to Jinx, since he should have a pretty rough time going on to either a Rave Review or Scarab here, who both have great forms of sustain or damage reduction from magical sources. And we're putting my stream up on the big screen. Thanks for letting me know, guys. And it's also going to be delayed. So you guys are going to hear, are you guys going to see what I'm saying like a minute after it happens? Like a full minute. Thanks, guys. Yeah, Twitch puts on like a minute delay. Alright, looking at the blue team, Kikastrophe can definitely make plays happen in this bottom lane if she can land Leona's CC frequently enough while avoiding enough poke from Varus and Zyra, which can be difficult. Zyra is such a powerful champion in that lane if she can remain untouched, but if Leona can get on her and maybe they get a gank from Udyr, it's really going to be hard to survive. She's really going to have to rely on landing that snare, on landing that knockup to be able to make it through. And hopefully it's not too loud in here. I hope y'all can still hear me. It's definitely going to get a little bit rowdy in here, but you know, that's the nature of a large event like this. A good time here at BYU. I've been playing for the past 4 hours and 45 minutes, and it's certainly been fun. I'm on an excellent loss streak tonight, and so I'm hoping to, you know, get behind the camera, cast some, and then no matter what happens, I win. Insith is really going to have to make something happen early if he wants to make an impact in the game, since Udyr can fall off. since in the late game he can really only do anything if he runs into the enemy team, just bolting in there. He hasn't taken a ghost. He does have flash, which is going to limit his abilities for chasing and sticking onto someone. Of course, he has the movement speed from his passive as well as his bear stance, but if he relies on those to chase onto the enemy team, he has to be careful. He isn't kited by the snare from Zyra or from Varus or a infant duress from Warwick if he gets a little bit too close for the red team's liking. We're now about to hop into the loading screen where we can look at some of the most important matchups here. The Skin War and the Border War. So I'm not too sure. The load screen taking a little bit to come up here. And there it is. We can go ahead and look at these lovely, lovely works of art. And adding these up, it is going to be red team taking it in the Skin War. A really unfortunate situation to be in for the blue team. Only 2 skins to their name. How dare they dishonor the memory and the ability of the artists at Riot. Of course, they're in game. They're just giving me funny looks because they've been playing for over 3 minutes now. However, I'm just about to get in here. And here we are finally in our game. Sorry about that, I got a little bit distracted. And there is our beautiful overlay where I can see myself behind me. Perfect. Taking a look at some of these starting items and rearranging everyone here on the scoreboard so we can go ahead and compare how everyone is doing. That is going to be a Relic Shield out of Leona, a really strong pickup for a tanky melee champion like that. Not only helps her to secure a little bit of farm for herself, but does give her some sustain in the lane and an eventual transition into a solid tanky item in the face of the mountain. Everyone is lined up here, and we can see some pretty standard starts. Akali going for the boots, since there isn't much Akali can take early on, except for possibly an Amplifying Tome. Blue team grouping up here in the river. Darian Algarian going to stand there unawares, but he's in a rather safe spot. I'm not sure they're going to be able to catch him too hard. He's going to move down here to the blue buff, where Warwick will be starting. And Entropic Order is just going to stand up and defend that red from the team. They have no vision on the blue team. There's Inseth leading the charge, and they're going to find Darian Algarian. There is a Zapslow, and he looks to be a little AFK. They're finally coming to his senses, but falling for the first blood. Going to Inseth, 280 gold for the jungler. The snare landing from Al Capone, but going to get caught by the snare himself. But there's enough follow-up to take him down. Blue team in a good spot, though. A little bit of graphical error on the wards, but you know, a solid position to be in. Not burning too much. Actually, not burning anything. Not a single flash or ignite was spent by the blue team. Only burning the flash and the life of the enemy mid laner. Al Capone going to help Valier Fox take this blue buff safely, with Sprognak not paying any attention to his team there, just going to stay bot, make sure he gets that very first bit of CS, and Valier Fox finally smites away that blue buff there. Scarab has gone mid against Darian Algarian, which is going to be a pretty solid spot for him to be in, because if Akali tries to go aggressively onto a Morgana, she always has a Dark Shield to absorb a lot of the damage, as well as the Soul Shackles to keep Akali from sticking on her for too long. That stun is going to be powerful, as well as the damage coming out from both the Soul Shackles, the Dark Binding, and the Tormented Soil that we see right there. I expect to see some abuse of the range and zoning from Morgana early on to keep Akali from farming up, because if Akali does get farmed, she simply has to go bot lane, and it will most likely be a kill onto the enemy Jinx. Doesn't have any escape aside from her flash, and Akali can really be a fear of any escapeless ADC. Lucian going to have some problems if Udyr gets a little bit too close. And those are some excited Asians over there. Goodness gracious. Loinker playing really aggressively in the bottom lane, going in with that switcheroo, taking out the fish bones. getting on some good damage, but also using quite a bit of his mana. Keycastrophe not finding the opportunity to go in with the Zenith Blade quite yet. Oh, the gank comes in up top. That's going to be Insith going in that Tropic Order, who tries to get the kill on the Rave Review, but he levels up due to the death in time, and he will be safe from a death. That's 2 kills for the blue team early on, and a solid spot to be in for them. Now almost 1,000 gold up due to the kills and assists. Scarab going aggressively, flashing in for the auto attack. Is the turret going to take him down? He throws a Dark Binding, which doesn't defend him from any physical damage at all, and he does fall in return a little bit over aggressive there. And Darren Algarian will hopefully be able to get back slightly after those first 2 deaths. Really not the place you want to be in as a Kali, since it can feel almost like you're a bit useless if you can't find anything early. You just don't do enough damage, and you can die rather quickly if people get the time to focus you down. Sprognak and Al Capone continuing to just stay safe in this bottom lane. A little bit of poking coming back and forth, but being pushed back could be dangerous unless Leona misses the Zenith Blade. Goes into Al Capone, actually does quite a bit of damage. He has to back off of here. The damage from the Leona passive being procced by Jinx's auto attacks was a little bit too much for him to bear. Al Capone is low. If he baits him into a 2v2 and can deal damage with his passive, maybe he can trade it 1-for-1. Keycastrophe going for the Zenith Blade there, gets the stun with the shield. Daybreak and Longer takes the kill there. Goes in with the get excited, but can't follow up on the Varus. Keycastrophe with a really solid Zenith Blade is going to fall to the piercing arrow immediately afterward. A Rave Review just continuing to farm up passively up here in top, and I'm not sure there's going to be a lot he can do against Vladimir early. Both these champions really just want to farm and stay safe in their lane until they can get some of their bigger items, and then become these big tanky champions that run into the enemy team, sustaining up heavily while dealing massive damage. And there, the Never Move doesn't land, and Swain is going to have to back off a bit, but Entropic Order is actually being forced back a bit here, especially after that early death. And this is looking to be a pretty close matchup in the top lane, despite those 2 early assists on a Rave Review. I should make up some names and put them on the overlay. Alright, Inseth moving in. Oh, the piercing arrow almost gets Loinker, but he is able to escape on the side of there with a sliver of health. And let's go ahead and give these teams some names. How about that? Oh, and Tropic Order falling low here is able to heal up a little bit, but he has to be afraid of the dive here from Swain, especially since his Ignite is almost back up. Al Capone and Sprognak now pushing out here, going to shove this up into the turret where Jinx is coming back. She's likely to miss a lot of this farm if they can shove it up into the turret in time. Ah, that almost fits well on there. Let me go ahead and... There we go, perfect. Alright, Keycastrophe going to tank up a bit of this, but take a lot of damage in return. Loinker, I'm not sure can go in there unless he lands the zap. A lot of damage on the Sprognak. He has to flash away. The flash in from Loinker, tries to go for the Flame Choppers, but can't land them. Has the damage there, but not enough. And that will be an escaping ADC. Scarab going in there with the Soul Shackles. Darien Algarian trying to fall back from this one. Has to dodge out of Dark Binding. Does get caught, but there's no follow-up from the Rave Review. Now going in aggressively once again onto Entropic Order. I appreciate all the motion and excitement behind me. It's definitely a fun, loud event here. As we get moving in, Al Capone now soloing this lane, actually pushing it up pretty far for being in a 1v2, but has to be careful that Keycastrophe doesn't find him with a Zenith Blade. Oh, taking the Never Move to the face is not going to be what Entropic Order needs in this top lane. Falling behind quite far, even though he's keeping up with minions, staying that low consistent on health leaves him in constant fear of Insith moving in. And nothing has happened for a couple of minutes here. We do have a 1,600 gold advantage here for the blue team. 2 kills up, 8 minutes in. A really solid lead to be in, but definitely not anything insurmountable. And if this purple team can group and use their really strong level 6 to be able to team fight this, if they have the Stranglethorns from Zyra as well as that Chain of Corruption from Sprognak, on Varus there. It could really change a fight. And Tropic Order is going to have a lot more luck going in here into a team fight than he's having in the 1v1. There's a snare laying on the Catastrophe. And in the top lane, a Rave Review gets caught out by the gank, is going to fall there. Catastrophe there falls to the Ignite. Spargnak went down as well. Now Al Capone and Loinker are left there in a 1 versus 1, and I'd have to give it to Loinker. If it gets too close, I'm not sure Al Capone is going to let himself be in that situation. He could be looking for the catch out from the Grasping Roots. If he finds it, oh, I'm not sure he's going to have the damage here as a support. Zyra, Lunker's going to go in aggressively, gets the Flame Chopper snare. Lunker's moving in with the minigun, but he can't quite stick on him. Doesn't have the mana for any more follow-up there from the Fishbones. Scarab continuing to farm up this mid lane, is leading the game in CS at 52, and his opponent Unkali unfortunately only has 18 to his name 9 minutes into the game. That's going to be a rough spot to be in at Unkali, really going to limit his early itemization, and is going to really leave Loinker and Scarab in pretty good positions. I don't see them being dove anytime soon. Insith moving into the Tropic Order. He has to pop the Pool of Blood. Insith going to flash in, tries to get the stun, but can't find it. And Tropic Order is able to escape from this one. A Rave Review not wanting to tank up the turret. Valier Fox moving up here to tank or to defend the turret for now. Darian Olgarian really suffering in this mid lane. Scarab playing it well, taking the blue buff as well to keep up that spell spam and really keep all of the farm off of Darian Olgarian's scoreboard. Oh, the Infinite Address goes in the Rave Review up in the top, and there's Valier Fox chasing in. He had the blood sent with the movement speed and was able to stick on him for the kill. Now it's evened up to 5-5, still a 1,000 gold advantage for our blue team. That's mostly going to lie in the assists there. I'd like to see a dragon play from the blue team soon, unless they can keep on pushing up these turrets and really make some impactful turret damage. Right now, it looks like the bot lane and the top lane aren't pushing hard enough, and a dragon here soon should be able to abuse their early advantage. At this point, I feel like they have overcome the team fight power that Red might have. Oh, the Chain of Corruption lands on the Loinker, but the Solar Flood goes out in return. The Stranglethorn stocks both of them up, and is there the follow-up from Sprognan, though I'm not sure. Catastrophe goes in with the Zenith Blade and is able to walk right back out with Insith falling up from behind. They might want to move in here. Darian Olgarian finally returns a kill on the Scarab in the mid, but they do trade 1 for 1. Insith, no flasher. Is he going to be able to find Al Capone? He's going to try, but he can't risk getting caught out by that Grasping Root, so he will have to fall off the back here. 1 for 1 mid will definitely help out Akali. I'm not sure that it's going to give her the actual power he needs, but definitely going to set him on the right path. Picking up that Hextech Revolver and a long sword, going to turn that into a Hextech Gunblade. And this is pretty much the team of Hextech Revolvers, seeing one up on Vladimir as well. Valier Fox finding Insith, has the red buff slow. Al Capone is coming in there, has the Grasping Roots, misses it by an inch, and Insith is able to run off the side here to safety. 15,000 gold for our blue team, despite the evenness in kills, and a Rave Review doing massive damage on Tropic Order, lands and never move, and Tropic Order tries to turn with the Hemo Plague. A Rave Review taking a bit of damage, trying to go in, continuing on the Entropic Order, and there is the Q for the kill, auto-attacking and keeping Entropic Order from getting any more farm up here. Now a Rave Review in a rough spot. Darian Olgarian finally finding a kill for himself and not falling in return. That is going to be his 3rd kill. He's now 3-3. Red team going to ping out this dragon here. They know that Insith had to go back, and he has recalled to base along with Loinker. This would be a free dragon for Red if they decide to take it, but instead Sprognak will stay down here clearing out the minions, and they will not take this objective now. That could cost them later on. It really would be what they need to even up this gold and come back into the game fully. But at this point, it's looking like they really are taking the steps to make it up. They are playing rather safely, except for Entropic Order, who's continuing to have a rough time in the top lane. Darian Olgarian putting some solid damage on here. Oh, there is Valier Fox moving into the mid lane on the Scarab, but the Soul Shackle is coming down to stop him in his tracks. The stun is there, and Insith tries to follow on, goes into Entropic Order, who is able to Pool of Blood. The Dark Binding continues running under the turret, and Insith can't follow up quite yet. Doesn't have the damage to dive a turret like that, but the mid turret's about to fall, and the Scarab keeps pushing the way he has been. It won't be around too much longer. A rave review now catching on to Darian O'Garian, who tries to return onto him, but I'm not quite sure he has this one. Looking to escape off the side. He's actually going to go ahead and try and 1v1 a rave review. Flashes away, has the ignite ticking down. A rave review tries to continue on with the auto attacks, and he's not going to be able to dive the turret here. In the bottom lane, there is a chain of corruption on the Loinker, but there's no follow-up. They can't quite find it. Catastrophe is going to be able to do it. Oh no, there was the piercing arrow from Sprognak finding the kill on the Loinker, making that a 1-4-0. Darren Elgarian falls down to the queue in the top lane, but Valier Fox is there. He has a slow there from the Bilgewater Cutlass and is able to find a kill in return. Insith taking kill on the bot lane, and this is proving to be a rather aggressive game. 18 kills in all just under 14 minutes, but a huge advantage to our blue team. Actually, not quite as big as I thought. That's only going to be about 1,500 gold. Still, no team has attempted a dragon yet, and no turret is close to falling except for that mid on the red side. And if Scarab can return to the lane like he's doing now, this could be his chance to take it. That will definitely open up this bottom side of the map and really the enemy jungle there to allow for a dragon attempt. Valier Fox will take the first turret of the game for the red team, bringing them up to just 700 gold behind the enemy team. This is the closest they've been in a while, and this is really what they need to kick themselves back into gear. Akali going for that Hextech Gunblade is going to be close, but just doesn't have the farm to get it soon enough. He's now about 60 farm behind his opponent. The mid turret does fall, boosting them back up to their position of advantage they were in before. And Loinker just continuing to farm up this bottom lane. About 15 ahead of Sprognak is going to be rather powerful, going for a Bloodthirster first as opposed to Sprognak, who has picked up the pickaxe. Looking to go for a Infinity Edge first, I would have to guess. I'm not sure if Loinker really wants to try and 2v2 this, since he has been losing out rather frequently, but with the finished Berserker's Greaves, the BF Sword, and the Vampiric Scepter, he might have enough to take it on. The continuous zoning here from the bottom lane definitely going to leave them strong in the blue team, and that's where a lot of this gold is from. And the blue team is winning in the farm on the bottom lane in the mid for certain. However, the jungle and top lane are definitely in the red team's favor, with Vladimir being about 10 ahead and Warwick being almost 20. Wow, everyone on the red team is moving down here towards the bottom side of the map. There, the snare is going to land on the Loinker and the follow-up damage from Al Capone, but there's no fall. Oh, there's Infinite Duress and the knock-up, and Loinker is most certainly going to die here. Delian Argarian trying to get the kill, but Valier Fox taking it out. Oh, Catastrophe goes back in, but she's against 4 members of the enemy team, going to fall there. And that is now a kill advantage. The red team still behind in gold by about 1,000, but just continuing to pick off these champions with the heavy single target damage of Akali and Warwick, as well as the high control out of this bottom lane. Now this is going to be the first dragon attempt of the game here by the red team. Entropic Order and Valier Fox going to move around and tank that up. Scarab looking off to the side to hopefully seal it. Oh, Inseth moves right in, but the smite is there from Valier Fox. He claims the dragon and the life of Inseth. Blue team was able to return a turret up in the top lane, but I'm not sure it's going to give them the power they want out of this. The gold is now even for both teams. Red team finally overcoming that disadvantage they've experienced for almost the entire game. Working on this mid turret, this could be their second turret of the game. Oh, the Soul Shackles from Scarab, though, doing massive damage. Loinker taking out 1 kill, another kill going over to Scarab. They're continuing on the Al Capone and Sprognak. The Chain of Corruption is out. It's going to snare up Loinker and Catastrophe, but Scarab is continuing on. There's the damage from the Tormented Soil, taking out Sprognak. 3 kills for a turret, going to boost blue team back to a 1,000 gold advantage to Zap, not quite landing on the Al Capone. Not going to grant Loiker yet another kill out of that spree. A little bit of an overextension from the red team, though. Rave Review now caught up against 2. He has the mana, and he should be... No, the burst damage from Entropic Order might be too high. The Q ticks down. There's the Ignite. Entropic Order survives out of that one. Al Capone as well on such low health.
Oh my gosh, it's so fast. Oh my god.
And that was just an overextension from Rave Review, and very lucky circumstances, to be honest, from this top laner and support. Loinker and Scarab now moving in here, trying to get the easy kill. The Zap comes across, but it's not going to be far enough to connect there with Al Capone.
How are you so fast? I'm max slow. Come on.
Let's see where we make our play first. Blue team is just kind of aimlessly running through the jungle at the moment. Scarab going to catch on to Darian Algarian, and oh wow, a lot of damage going on to him actually, but oh wow, Darian Algarian has to be careful here. The zap did connect, but it wasn't quite enough to tick him down to his death.
There was 3v2.
Scarab without the soul shackles though won't be able to get into a fight like this much longer, and that's going to be the mistake there. The flash infinite duress from Warwick was too strong for that Morgana, who didn't even have time to throw on the Dark Shield. Rave Review, Loinker, and Kikastri now going to defend this mid lane against 4 members of the red team. Loinker getting caught out there, has to flash away after the snare was up. And a really important summoner here burned by the AD carry. If Loinker doesn't have a flash, he doesn't have an escape at all. That's going to be prime pickings for Darian Algarian and Entropic Order, who's building up enough AP to be a bit of a threat himself. Grabbing the Will of the Ancients and the Ancient Fiendish Codex is going to then most likely pick up a Haunting Guise for the Magic Penetration, Ability Power, and Health, which are 3 really very, very powerful stats for Vladimir. Oh, Insith almost gets on Al Capone, but a really fast reaction on that snare, going to keep him back. And that's been so much control out of Al Capone and Sprognak to keep them alive. Unfortunately, hasn't been able to really boost them in the lead, but they have evened out the gold quite a bit, being in the kill advantage, tying themselves up in turrets, and really just being behind in farm in the mid and bottom lanes. That is, oh wow, the Talisman of Ascension comes out, and there's the snare and the knockup. The huge snare there from the Chain of Corruption. This is blue team being decimated. Darian Algarian finally going to fall there. Super Mega Death Orc comes in on the red team and bursts him down heavily. A Rave Review is on full health in the middle of this team, and he's going to turn this fight for him. Quadra kill. No! Kikastrophe stole the Penta, you scumbag! The worst support NA! Oh, Rave Review almost took the pentakill there. So close. But it was grabbed out at the last minute. Oh, a strong position here for blue team, though. A Rave Review just decimating that fight. He definitely is a force to be reckoned with here as they move in, take out this mid-inner turret, and look to back off after that. They can probably afford to take a bit of the jungle here.
Oh my god. Oh, that lag's really good.
But really just a misplay from the red team. They went in so hard, but just underestimated the damage that could come out from both the Soul Shackles of Morgana, the Super Mega Death Orc from Jinx, and then finally a Rave Review's
I was dead when you went in.
Crowstorm.
Why are you in your Skype?
Not Crowstorm.
Huh?
Ravenous Flock. Crowstorm is, of course, Fiddle's ultimate.
You're in our Skype call.
Al Capone and Darian Algarian going to just sneak around here in the river, trying to just grab some vision control, and a Rave Review is going to catch on to both of them. A lot of damage on Al Capone. The zap catches him, and that is an unstoppable bird here. Sprognak now in the next position, and that's going to be the double kill for Rave Review, flashing in there for the kill. The snare from the Flame Chompers also landing. Loinker and Inseth moving in here. Darian Algarian trying to run away from this one. The zap lands, and they don't quite have vision of him. The Impotent Duress from Valerie Fox is there, but he's stunned up by Inseth, going to stop that out. Loinker trying to survive there. Oh, gets the zap, but he's probably going to die here from the Hemo Plague from Vladimir. No, it's not quite enough to finish him off, and he escapes with barely any health. Really good try from Entropic Order, but just not putting out enough damage to finish him off. Going to leave his team 5,000 gold behind. The snare lands in the Insect, keeping him from going on, but he's rather tanky at this point, staying in on Darian Algarian for a while, taking up a bit of damage, and the Rave Review has come back here with a blue buff into that Ravenous Flock. He's going to take out the first kill. Oh, the snare misses from Sprognak, pulling an LCS ADC there. Raven View falling low, can't be too cavalier about how he goes in. Scarab catching on to Al Capone, doing massive damage there with the Soul Shackles, eliminating him. Oh, Kikastrophe going in hard by herself, going to fall there to Sprognak in the 1 versus 2. Unfortunately, Scarab couldn't quite follow up on that. Was a little busy clearing out those minions. And the bold play here from the blue team isn't really going to be too punished here, since they are almost 7,000 gold in the lead. Sprognak having a really difficult time here without... Oh, Scarab flashing over the wall, misses Dark Binding, but it's not going to matter as he nets the kill there with the Tormented Soil. And blue team is just finding kills left, right, and center. Scarab is going to have to be careful of Valier Fox's blood scent. Going to potentially go back and recall. Almost has that Zonya's Hourglass, which is such a key item on Morgana to be able to leave yourself invulnerable in the middle of a fight. Swain has also picked up that item, which, when you have his Ravenous Thought going, not only keeps it going, but makes it free. Scarab taking a lot of damage going in here immediately, but there's not any follow-up onto him. Valier Fox tries to go in on the inset, but does fall. There's the rave review with the Zonya's Hourglass. Darien Elgarian has no chance of escaping there, and Insith tries to catch on. The zap lands on the Al Capone, but Loinker, not sure you're going to be able to follow up. There it is, but the Dragon attempt out of here, finding 2 kills on the red team, catapulting them up. 8,000 gold in the lead, almost 9. And this is their game to lose. Now they have to make sure they can close it out, though. They do have an exposed inhibitor turret, and it would make the most sense to be able to work down that enemy base here instead of just sitting on a heavy lead, because we've seen team after team do that and lose in the end to a potentially fed enemy. Now this isn't the best scaling team compared to a team with a Jinx, a Swain, and a Morgana, who all have incredibly powerful late games. However, you never want to cut it too close, and I would like to see blue team moving in here soon. The most farm in the game is going to be here on Jinx at 158. Some pretty low farm numbers, but you know, for not being pro players and for all the action that's happened, it's to be expected. With Jinx having the most at 158, followed up by his mid laner Morgana at 144, and 3 of the most heavily farmed champions are here on the blue team. Scarab is definitely one of the most potent, and I would say under-recognized forces on this team. Keycastrophe going to catch on to Darien Elgarian. No, misses Zenith Blade, but there is the snare from the Dark Binding. Darien Elgarian, how are you going to escape out of this one? The Tormented Soil going to find him before his enemies can even spot him. And that will be yet another kill. Darien Elgarian's 9th death of the game, unfortunately. Insith now trying to catch on Al Capone, gets snared up there.
He can try and jump on me, I can beat around.
And those grasping roots from Zyra have really been powerful, keeping them alive. However, it's not going to keep their base alive for much longer. Valier Fox having to back off here. Oh, there's the snare landing on the inside. It's going to follow up on a Rave Review and Keycastrophe. The Hemoblade coming through, landing on the Linker as well. This is the wombo combo they need, but it's just not enough damage. The Tropic Order's trying to stay alive, but finally falls. Scarab jumps in. The Super Mega Death Threat flies and right through Al Capone. It seems like Insith staying in here, tanking up a final turret shot. The double kill for Loinker and Insith. But, oh, Darien Elgarian jumping into Scarab, trying to follow up onto him, finally shuts him down. Now going to look for a kill on Loinker. Oh, there's a flash over the wall from Loinker, going to look for the 1 versus 1 here, but Darien Elgarian knows how to play this game. I think he can make it, but no, he can't quite follow up there. Didn't use Hex at Gunblade active there. That might have been enough to change up the fight, but he didn't feel confident enough in that 1v1, which is terrible when you're an assassin going against a Jinx. If you don't feel like you can 1v1 that, then you've really just haven't fulfilled your purpose as an assassin, and that's a terrible spot to be in. You have to really think, how can I change this for my team? How can I really make this better for myself and bring this game about? But I think he's starting to find his answers running thin. A lot of attack speed build up here for Warwick, which is an intriguing build. Warwick definitely scales well with attack speed, both with his passive and with his ultimate. His ultimate with on-hit effects, of course. Having the Blade of the Ruin King and the Wit's End is definitely going to give his auto attacks a punch, but he also can't take too much damage. He doesn't have any bonus armor besides his Ninja Tabai, and he doesn't have a single point of bonus health to be found, not even a Spirit of the Ancient Golem, which could be rough when you look at his counterpart here, Udyr, on the blue team. That is a Spirit of the Ancient Golem, Spirit Visage, Ninja Tabai, and almost a Randuin's Omen. That is a huge force barreling into the enemy team, taking up a lot of damage that Warwick just can't hope to find.
I tried to stun her and I killed her.
9,000 gold in the lead here for the blue team, and they are in a position to win the game if they so choose. However, there's always plans to do. Oh wow, the snare landing on the Darien Elgarian. All the snare falling up the Super Mega Death Rocket just for the overkill there from Loinker. I'm not too sure he needed that for the kill. Onto the 10 death, Akali, the flash, and Solar Flare from Catastrophe, and the knockup going to find them a little bit too late as Valier Fox does fall into taking up this turret in the face. Oh, the snare doesn't land. The Dark Binding, or the Black Shield was enough to stop that in its tracks. Rayview running in here, the enemy team actually falling low, taking up quite a few turret shots. Sprognak not going to be able to find him. Rayview healing up enough. The ace from blue team. Oh, the passive from Zyra finally finds it, but this is most likely going to be the game unless Darian Algarian can turn this around. Let's see how he can do it with his Akali mechanics. Scarab, Insith, Catastrophe, and Loinker all working to take down this first Nexus turret. Darian Algarian is there, moves on the Insith, not the target he wants. He's falling low here. The AoE damage isn't there from Scarab though, and he's going to be able to survive for now. The group of the teammates is joining behind me, which I'm guessing means the red team has turned this around and won it in the next 3 minutes here. So let's see that happen. Let's see it happen, guys. As we have 12,000 gold advantage for the blue team, 14 kills, 3 turrets, and a couple of dragons. No Baron attempts yet, which seeing the recent LCS play, probably a really good idea. They're going to go ahead and fall back and buy, extend this game as long as they possibly can. And go ahead and buy those items. That's going to be a Rylai's Crystal Scepter coming in soon for Swain. Udr has built up his very tanky build there. A very typical combination of health, armor, and magic resistance. Morgana going for the... Is that going to be a... I'm not quite sure what's going to be at the Neostar Draw. It could be a Rabadon's Death Count, but it could be a... not another Zhonya's, of course. I'm not sure. I've never seen a Deathfire Grasp on Morgana, but that might be what he's looking to buy here. Of course, the Zhonya's and the Rod of Ages as well. Rave of View caught out here by Valerie Fox, and there is a lot of damage onto him, but he props to Zhonya's. He's surviving for now. They're trying to put on enough damage onto him, but he's surviving through that sustain. Rave of View not going to fall here, and Tropic Order Flash again going for the kill, but the triple kill for Loinker. And Tropic Order now in a rough spot. Turns around with a bit of damage with the quadra kill for Loinker. No pentas this game.
I'm so sorry.
Catastrophe going to make sure of that. The surrender from the red team going to finish out this game with a 14,000 gold advantage, 19 kills, just under 30 minutes. Congratulations to our BYU blue team. They have defeated the Heathens today.
Who got the other 5th kill from that?
Oh, I don't know.
We can assume.
Thank you all for coming out today. We had a lot of fun here. And there is Justin Rodell in the background. And I had a lot of fun. Remember to go ahead and leave comments on what I could do better. And I will go ahead and improve on them for next time so that I can eventually be the very best shotcaster ever. I had a good time here at the LAN party. I'm going to go ahead and shut the stream off for now. Hope you all have a great night.